Hello, my name is Jemana. I'm a tattoo artist and just a multifaceted artist in general. And today I'm going to take you guys on a realistic sketchbook tour from all the sketchbooks that I have ever created that still exist, because there are some that I've actually destroyed. So let me show you a little clip of what my sketchbooks. Before we get into looking through all the sketchbooks, I just want to tell you, this is an incredibly realistic sketchbook tour. I don't think I have taken my sketchbooks seriously in terms of I don't look at my sketchbooks as an art gallery. You're gonna see that come up repeatedly in the front covers of each sketchbook. I write that as a reminder to myself that it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to express myself, and that is the sole reason of my sketchbooks. So it's not always aesthetically pleasing, and I like that because it takes a lot of pressure off of me and it helps me create my best pieces of artwork. When I feel like I'm performing for an unseen audience that doesn't even exist, you guys exist right now, but I'm not creating my sketchbooks with the intention of showing it off to everybody. I'm not creating my sketchbooks with the intention that the world is going to see it. I'm creating my sketchbooks first and foremost for myself. And if I show it to people, that's amazing. And I'm glad that I find the confidence to do that. But I'm not sitting there creating for other people. I'm creating because there are ideas inside my head that need to get out, or I want to express myself in a certain way, or practice certain things, or whatever, right? Whatever the reason is in that moment for me to draw, just letting it flow. And I think that creates the most genuine art. But again, it's not an art gallery, so if you're an artist as well, maybe this will give you a confidence boost. And please check out my artworks on my website and on my Instagram. Links are going to be right here. These are finished artworks that I have done, so you can kind of see how ideas transform into finished pieces, and how my sketchbook is just a wonderful place to explore, to create my how my sketchbook is a place for me to let out my ideas before I go for the final pieces. So enjoy! This is the first sketchbook that we're going to start off with. It's pretty humble. It's pocket-sized. Like I had mentioned before, I had more sketchbooks, but I actually did destroy them. This one's from 2015. I'm going to quickly flip through it because this one is just really trying to understand what interests me as an artist, what kind of things I want to study and focus on, and what I'm drawn to drawing, and also just venting. You're going to see a lot of venting artworks, practicing some collage, figuring out what kind of pens I like, figuring out my personal style, because at this time I was really on Tumblr, I was on Pinterest, and I was clearly influenced by some of these things that I was seeing. And see, I'm testing out different mediums in here, which I think is pretty cool actually for something that was done when I was a teenager in high school. And at this point, for a little bit of context, I was 17. I had been in some AP art classes, and I really loved ceramics. I really loved to draw, but I was pretty lost in terms of what I wanted to pursue. I was 1 year away from graduating, and at the time I thought I was going to become a ceramicist. We get to the end, and I will say the sketchbook is not beautiful by any means, but I made it to the end, and I'm very proud of my younger self for that. Now we move on to my second sketchbook, which has been through a lot. And the thing about this sketchbook is that I started on this side, went in all the way to the middle, and then went back to this side, went in all the way to the middle, and then met in the middle. And these were at different periods of my life. So technically this is the front, and this is from, I even wrote this isn't the front, but it is the front because I started this in 2015. And the back, that's when I was in college, and I was doing I was doing a lot of work for my college graphics design classes, and I needed a sketchbook, so I came back to this one and I started filling it out. But in this one, you can see I'm still experimenting around with things that I'm like. I'm noticing that I'm really liking nature and drawing nature. I really wish I had filled out more of these sketchbook pages. You're gonna see a lot of white pages, and you can really see I'm struggling with finding my style. I don't know how I feel about my art. I don't know what I'm even trying to communicate half the times. This was in high school art class. That's some Steven Universe. Here's something that I did that I'm really glad that I did then. I experimented around with these watercolors and all these different colors, and you'll see this kind of come up again, but I didn't finish it and I couldn't see the vision with it. And I think that was kind of the problem with a lot of the art that I was creating at this time, is that I just couldn't see the vision with it and I couldn't see it to the end. But I did dedicate myself to filling out this sketchbook until the end. Just a lot of like half finished ideas. Okay, this was from ceramics class, and then after this page is, okay, that's when it becomes my college art. This is from probably like 2017-ish. I had an assignment for my graphics design class, and so I was just kind of going back to the sketchbook so that I could take notes and stuff like that. But you can also see I have a real big affinity for lines. I love lines. I love doing random artworks. Some of this stuff is high school things, like this is from high school, but then I believe this is from college. I wish I had finished this, but again, I couldn't see the vision through, and I wasn't sure how to finish this, and I was scared that I was gonna ruin it, and I really like this part. Something I have to remind myself now is that you can always redraw things. This, I came back and did this after out of college. This has to be like pandemic. This was in the pandemic. I came back and reached for the sketchbook one more time. So back in 2020. So the sketchbook has been through a lot. This is from high school. That's from high school. This is from after I graduated high school. This is from high school. And this is just like a collage of Tumblr pictures. Remember, I was really big in Tumblr, and I feel like that was influencing my style a lot, and why I was struggling so much with finding a personal style, because I was just looking at other people's art and not really trying to figure out like what speaks to me, what speaks to how I feel. I really wish I had finished this. You can tell I lost confidence in it. But if I had just finished outlining it, it would have looked amazing. Same with this. Okay, I think we're almost about to meet to the middle. Look at this. This is finally one that I finished. And I really liked it, and it gave me some confidence back. And you're gonna kind of see that in some of my sketches where it gives me some confidence. I was like, ooh, I'm actually liking what I'm creating. And I start creating more cool things. All right. Almost there. Practicing some abstract style. If you knew me before the genocide started, I was creating a lot of like abstract, colorful paintings. Okay, we're back to the middle. And this was the time where I was trying to figure out what abstract was like. This sketchbook is very similar to the last one that we saw, in that I started in the back and upside down, because it's supposed to be, this is the back and then this is the front. I don't know why I kept doing that. The sketchbook is holding on for dear life. It's being held on by washi tape and probably needs another layer of washi tape. It's pretty old, and it's another one that I went back to many times throughout the years. This college art assignment. That's from high school, from my ceramics class. And so this was supposed to be my ceramics notebook, and this is from probably 2016. This is your reminder to please write the dates on your artwork for your future self. You can see that kind of style coming up over and over again. Line work and a lot of venting in here. This is still influenced by, you know, other artworks that I'm seeing online, but you can start seeing that I'm finding a color palette that I really am drawn to and I love. And this color palette shows up in my abstract artworks from 2020 and beyond. And so, speaking of beyond, this is from college. This was not an art assignment. This was an assignment in one of my other classes that I kind of transformed into an art project, kind of made it into a little zine. So this is stuff from college. I think this is from high school. This is dark. When you pick flowers, they begin to wilt and die. That's very true, but also this is from college. No, this is from high school. The last page was from college, and it gets a little confusing. And I don't do this to my sketchbooks anymore because I didn't realize how much I was gonna want to look back on things and see my progress. This is a really cool one I wish I had finished. I think it would have given me a lot of confidence if I had finished, but I also felt unconfident because I didn't know where it was going. And it was pushing me out of my comfort zone. This is from college again. College. Oh. Like I said, these pages are barely holding on, guys. This one's really cool. I like that. I like the dot work in that. That one's cool. That's my dog and my cat are playing, so you guys might hear them. Sorry. I love this one. I love this one, and I actually come back to this drawing a lot, and it inspires me. There's my cat. More line work. You're gonna see this pop up, and I think, yeah, the next sketchbook, you're definitely gonna see that pop up. A lot of this line work. This, I think they call them Zen lining or stuff like that. Sometimes you just gotta grab your sketchbook and just doodle. You know what I'm saying? Just like, and not care about what other people think. Okay, we're gonna turn this around because I think I did the same thing as the last one. I started working back to front. So, we have a date on this. This one's actually from 2015, but it goes through many years. It goes through many years. All right, it's barely holding on. That's crazy. Here I am just trying to get like bigger ideas together. This is the first time I started thinking about a zine. I never made this, by the way, but I just started thinking about like, what kind of stories do I have to tell? Okay. Yep, that's it. So that's this sketchbook that's barely holding on. Oh my God, I have to fix it. Now we have my sketchbook from 2017. And this one is a hardcover. Also covered in some washi tape. It's crescent, if you're interested, because I actually really do like the sketchbook. I actually really like the paper. And this one's from 2017, and you're gonna immediately notice it has a lot more direction to it. Just a lot more direction, but I still put in these sketchbook goals. Feel free to pause to read, but I think the most important one is allow yourself to mess up. And this is a time when I was just trying to figure out what my weaknesses were, and clearly it was the fact that I could not fill out a page. So I went into this and I told myself, I'm gonna try and do that. You know, I'm gonna try and figure out how to make full-on spreads, and I'm doing a lot of collage work. So this is from a paper that I had found at Half Price Books, loose inside of a book. Took that and collaged it into my sketchbook. Here's some more line work, messing around with some watercolor. This is another collage page with some watercolor, and then these are photos that I took in college for a college art assignment. So I was in college at this time studying graphics design. Graphics design is not my fucking passion at all, and there is a reason why I hand draw everything, because I think my experience being and studying graphics design just showed me a lot of like, I can't handle that medium. I need to physically be able to touch my artwork and interact with it, and I get frustrated when I can't. And it also taught me a lot about like, I need to not make artwork for money or do things because people will tell me it makes me money. I have to do it for the passion of it. This is tattoo ideas that I wanted to get, by the way. This is not tattoo ideas I had to tattoo on other people. At the time, I was not even considering the fact that I could be a tattoo artist. it wasn't until a year later that's when I would start thinking about being a tattoo artist and going into an apprenticeship. For context on this sketchbook, I had freshly dropped out of college after only being there for a semester and a half. I was homeless and couch surfing. A lot of instability at this time and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And some of the really awesome pages that I've had in my sketchbooks, I do this, I cut it out because I wanted to have them be standalone pieces. So some of my best spreads are not even in my sketchbook. Like, this shit is objectively ugly, but I had to draw it, you know? You have to draw it. I wish I had finished this. I think it could have given me a lot of confidence in this sketchbook if I had finished that. This is a really important page because this is a page where I'm analyzing, like, what's wrong? Clearly I want to draw portraits, but I can't do it. So what's right is that I tried. And that is like such a profound thing. When I went back to first try and record this video, I had to stop and be like, wow, I did try, and thank God I tried, because I'm really happy with where I'm at now. It takes a while sometimes. This is where it gets really cool. I'll be for real, guys. I was going through like a really, really hard time in my life during all of this. And then that's the end of the sketchbook. '17. Alright, so this sketchbook is the same Crescent sketchbook. I really like the paper on this and I really like the cover. But I didn't put a date on it, unfortunately. So let's just get into it. These are my sketchbook goals. And I think I'd like to say I accomplished those goals. During this time, I became a tattoo apprentice, and it was under really predatory and messed up conditions, like really toxic work conditions. And you can literally see the color drain from me. Which is really sad, I think. And one of the worst things that happened in this apprenticeship is that my mentor had encouraged me and the other apprentice to stop sketching. He said that sketching was going to hurt our careers and that it does no good, it just wastes time. And we were like astounded that an artist would be telling us this. But the shop discouraged us from sketching while we were there. I mean, can you believe that? And as we get through this, I'm just like, look, I'm starting to draw things in his style. I'm starting to draw things for him. But then I found this rainbow pencil. And you might remember it from a few sketchbooks back. I found this rainbow pencil and I started rebelling. I rebelled against him. And I said, fuck you. I love color. I love sketching. You're not going to stop me from sketching. But this, I mean, you can literally see the color drain from my sketchbooks. In that this apprenticeship put me through a lot. And it was very, I don't know. That, again, it's a story for another time, perhaps. But it did birth some ideas that through hardship came something better. I'm doodling, just not while I'm at the studio. And I finished my goal with this sketchbook. I got to the end. This sketchbook is clearly quite different from the last ones, right? What a different vibe already off the bat. So I'm in my tattoo apprenticeship at this point. And we start the page with my mentor's style, because that's all he wanted me to draw was flowers, because that was his thing. And I was like, oh cool, you know, I'm gonna apprentice under this guy who loves to draw nature, but like, I don't know. I just, yeah, I'm not into this sketchbook as much. During this time of this apprenticeship, I was being hazed. Me and the other apprentice, both females, were getting sexually preyed upon, and our labor was being exploited. I watched the tattoo artists do drugs and tattoo clients and steal designs off of Google. It was all incredibly eye-opening. And I'm getting depressed, you know? I'm getting depressed under the work conditions. I'm getting depressed at the way that they're treating their clients, because I ended up leaving this apprenticeship because my mentor was drinking and tattooing people, among like so many other horrible things that he was doing. And then this time though, it birthed this little mushroom character. And if you know, you know. And I'm not gonna get into it because again, that's another story for another time, or perhaps maybe not, because it does come up in other sketchbooks. I just don't know how much I'm gonna talk about these things. This mushroom character that you keep seeing is, for me, a representation of my inner child. And after the genocide started, I did make my final piece with this character, in which he is murdered by the occupation's bombs in the genocide. With his back turned to the viewer, the only surviving mushroom, like Handala, clasps his hands and does not turn back to the viewer. That final artwork of the Mushroom Boy character can only be found on my website under my portfolio. Finished to the end. All right, so now we have the sketchbook. This is a Denik sketchbook. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of how the covers age. This one was started on 2019. Welcome to my sketchbook. And this one starts taking a very different vibe. So at this point, I have left that apprenticeship and have been searching for a different tattoo apprenticeship, and I am just drawing a lot of mandalas. And a lot of these pieces that you're seeing actually turned into paintings. I was painting a lot at the time. This is a painting. I was painting a lot at the time and using like very bright and colorful acrylics. So even though this sketchbook doesn't seem so bright and colorful, I was finding a different way to express myself. And I was drawing these mandalas every day. In 2019, there's going to be quite a few sketchbooks that I went through because I just could not stop drawing. I was having so much fun with it. And these are all freehand. I didn't use pencil or anything like that, just went in with pen and This is an important page. Mistakes happen in art. Not every sketch or drawing or piece of art is perfect. You will get better if you aren't lazy and you draw every day. A sketch a day keeps the sadness at bay. All right, and then this is the end of the sketchbook. 2019. So this one I believe is still from 2019. I just did not put down the year date, but I put down the date. Another Denik sketchbook. And this page I feel is really important. It says, my sketchbook is not an art gallery. Every page does not have to be perfect. I promise I will draw every day or as often as I can. These are like personal commitments that I'm making to myself. So I think this is one point where I realized, like, holy shit, I really lost touch with color. I realized what was happening with my past experience with art. Finished it out with a lot of mandalas, but I finished it to the end. The end. There, I dated it. 2019 still. Haha. I finished the sketchbook pretty quickly. Okay, this one's the thin one because this one, I don't know why I kept forgetting that I had this sketchbook. I ended up cutting out the papers that were blank because I didn't realize that the sketchbook wasn't finished. Otherwise, I would have finished it. In 2024, after like almost 5 years of not touching the sketchbook, I came back to it. That's just the way things go sometimes. And see, there's some blank pages. When I was recording this, I could have sworn this was the end of 2019, but nope. All right, in this sketchbook, we are still in 2019. I'm telling you, a lot happened in 2019. I was on fire in terms of making art, and I could not stop drawing. I like my intro message to this one. So again, another affirmation of my sketchbook is not an art gallery. It doesn't have to be perfect, just meaningful. And this part about you can lose muscle memory is so true. That's why I was struggling so much with drawing people. In high school, I'm gonna just insert a little picture of what I drew in high school. This is all done using dot work. Okay, and you guys saw all those sketches that I tried doing of people. Look, they weren't beautiful, like, right? So you can lose muscle memory, you can lose hand-eye coordination, use it or lose it kind of thing. And if you start focusing on one style of artwork for so long, you'll notice that you get rusty in another. So at this time, I had been focusing so much on abstract artwork and abstract paintings that I was feeling like I was losing it a little bit in other aspects of my art skills. Wait a second, let's go back. So this page, this is in 2019 as well. And I says, sometimes I feel trapped by my artistic limitations. Like sometimes I desperately want to communicate an image or scene or person, but I absolutely can't fathom where to begin. How do I arrange a certain image? How do I render a foreground and a background? I need to learn more about art again. I used to know how to do this. I know I still have the ability to draw people and form, and from observation, I just need to keep practicing these skills. Just a really like thoughtful page in terms of where I was feeling my artwork was going. And again, still exploring that personal style and all of that. When you focus so much on abstract, I had started to get a little bit frustrated with drawing realism. I still believe that I'm not a printer, you know? I'm not a printer and I'm not a camera. I'm interpreting things in my own creative ways, so it doesn't have to be perfect. This is made by a human, you know? There's beauty in that. And that's, again, why I could not fathom finishing graphics design. Do you remember this guy? I went back to my old sketchbook and I was thinking about him again, and I tried drawing him again. Another page about what is my artistic message? What inspires me? Nature and patterns and symmetry, rainbows, happiness, harmony, peace, safety, love. So this is definitely like really pre-genocide artwork, right? Just keep that in mind. Yeah. Alright, and now we made it to the end of the sketchbook, and I finished this one all the way to the end. Okay, oh my god, we are still in 2019. I was really going off in 2019, clearly having just the absolute freaking ball of a fucking time. And just to prove to you guys that we're still in 2019, there's the date. I can't believe it. I was really like going pretty hard, you know, with drawing in my sketchbooks. I could not stop. I had a ferocious need to draw in my sketchbooks. I really like this page. I always thought like from this page, like maybe I should make like a children's book or something like that, but I don't know. Maybe that's something I pursue in the future. It's never off the table. And then this sketchbook, I didn't realize it, but I didn't get all the way to the end. But like, come on guys, it's like 5 pages. You know what I'm saying? I got to the end. So this is sketchbook from 2019. And I don't know if you've noticed, but all the sketchbooks have gotten progressively bigger. So we started out really small and we just get bigger, bigger, bigger until we get to this size. Because I really feel like my art cannot be contained at this point. Next, we have the sketchbook. Now, this one I didn't really treat as much of a sketchbook as I did the other ones before. This one was really just kind of, I needed something to do this on. Just experimenting with painting ideas, because at this time I'm painting a lot. So I needed stuff to just draft out, you know, research, take notes in. So it's just like a lot of notes, it's a lot of painting thumbnails, and art thumbnails. Some doodles here and there, but you're not really gonna see like any finished pieces like the last one. Some of these turned into like street art, you know, pieces. Some of these turned into like comics and whatever. So was during I think when they killed Shireen Abu Akleh, when they killed her, I was thinking a lot. This is a painting that I wanted to do about Palestine. Thinking a lot about Palestine during this time. This is a study of a Palestinian artist named Leila Shawa. This was based off of Handala. I started thinking about my character as Handala. This is pre-genocide art, just so you guys can see, like, pretty timely. We get to the end of the sketchbook, so it got filled out, but it's like, it's not like the other ones, of course. I didn't have the same intention with it. So this sketchbook, let's check and see. This one's from October of 2022. So at some point there was a time where I wasn't sketching in my sketchbook as much because I was painting so much. And I'm starting to treat it more like a sketchbook, but you can still see here I am just making a lot of like color notes and kind of treating it like a place of studying. So, and you can see a lot of the abstract influence from the paintings that I was created reflecting in this sketchbook as well. So this very much like is very similar to the things that I would be painting. In this sketchbook, I also did the thing where I cut out some of my most favorite pages to sell as standalone art pieces, which I don't recommend doing that. Don't recommend doing that. Just draw it again on a separate piece of paper. You can, if you did it once, you can do it again. Then by the time I got to the end of the sketchbook, the genocide had started, and I did not feel inspired to draw, y'all. All I could draw was like, you know, this. I'm about to start crying because it gets pretty emotional. So I didn't finish the sketchbook actually. I ended up cutting out a lot of paper and I used that to make another book, my first leather-bound book. So that's the end of this sketchbook, and that's kind of the end of my sketchbooks being a bright and colorful place in the way that it was before. So this is my sketchbook that I started after the genocide started, and there is about a 2.5-year gap in between this sketchbook and the last one that I had. I didn't realize that I hadn't been sketching in a long time. I was sketching in other places, like random loose pieces of paper. I have a pocket-sized sketchbook that I do take with me, but it's mainly for tattoo designs. But I didn't have a place where I was drawing that I wasn't monetizing and I was just using to get ideas out of my head and to work on strengthening skills. And so this is I call it a study book. And if you're watching this on YouTube, that means that I've uploaded this on YouTube, but my patrons on Patreon have already seen the start and 2-month update into this study book, and they get a lot of like behind the scenes sneak peeks in this study book of artworks that I've done. But it made me realize, like, wow, I haven't dedicated myself to a sketchbook in a while, and I haven't done one with a distinct purpose. And so this one, I really wanted to push myself to do all of the following. And you can pause to read it, but the end goal is to be able to draw using these skills, and to also draw using these skills without reference, from my imagination or from things that I'm seeing like right in front of me. And I would say that this study book has done a really good job at doing that. If you'd like to see this study book and the artworks inside of it, feel free to check out my Patreon. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed the artworks that I shared, check out my Patreon. My Artwork Unlocked tier gets the videos behind the scenes, and then the buy a coffee, you guys get photos of some of my recent sketches. But if you'd really like to see like what's in here, go ahead and check it out. I'll give like a little quick preview. Let me find it. This is one of my favorite pages. I actually just did this one. This is one of my favorite pages. I really enjoyed this. When I was at a restaurant and I was drawing. I'll show you guys bonus. One more. Yeah, this is another page in my study book. So I have a lot of fun in here. If you like it or not, it wasn't for you, but I hope you did enjoy this sketchbook archive. This is also for me because I was anticipating that I was going to be traveling and moving overseas this month, and due to the war in Iran, that's just not happening at this moment. But in the time that I was anticipating it, I was kind of thinking a lot about like, okay, what would happen if something happened to my sketchbooks, or like my suitcase full of my stuff and all my sketchbooks were lost, you know, what would happen? And I want to have a digital archive. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and please check out my website for all my socials and to check out my tattoos. I'm a Palestinian tattoo artist. Did I mention that? Based in Corpus Christi, Texas. Check out my portfolio, Patreon, Instagram, all is there, and then also in the description, hopefully below. And bye.